So welcome to this afternoon's session titled Journey to Success, How to Increase Your Size of the Pie. I will be your moderator once again. My name is Eric Alamini, Senior Director of Supplier Relationship Management at the New York Power Authority. So there is enough work throughout New York State for all types of businesses. I think we can all agree to that. So the question is, how to recognize opportunities that can increase your size of the pie for your business. As such, we have a special session for you today. We have 4 panelists today to help provide insight and perspectives that will be helpful for you to think about when it comes to your business strategy. So let's get to know our panelists today before we begin. At this time, I want to turn it over to Ingrid. Ingrid, would you provide a little introduction about yourself and your company? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. There's always technical difficulties. So, hi, I'm Ingrid Kapton with Robbie Engineering and Land Surveying PC. It's an MBE firm located in Rochester, New York, with offices throughout the state. I am the marketing manager there. I have 29 years of marketing, communications, and proposal experience, and I'm responsible for proposal oversight, management, and production, and technical writing and coordinating multidiscipline pursuits at Robbie.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us, Ingrid. And thank you for that background. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Maddie. Maddie, can you share a little bit about yourself and your company?
Sure. Thank you. Good afternoon. And thank you, first of all, for having me. And a very happy and healthy new year to all. So my name is Maddie, and I look at myself as a creative thinker, a strategist, a mentor, and also a small business owner. So I dabbled about 15 years with both large and small firms in various industries, different countries, from a 20-person minority contractor in Queens to a 10,000-person engineering firm. And the numbers speak for themselves. You know, I brought in business and group bonding and stuff. I was involved in strategic planning, business development, marketing. Now, as co-founder of our 6th Catalyst, it's a management and marketing consulting firm. My role is to set and guide the company into different directions. We work with many public entities as well as some corporate clients with vendor and supplier diversity and training programs, executive coaching, marketing, and communications. And our focus really right now is to level the playing field for MWB firms and help them find real opportunities. That's
beautiful. Thank you, Maddie, for sharing. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Susan. Susan, can you share a little bit about who you are, years of experience, and company that you work for?
Yes, I'm Susan Danskin. I'm the Business Development Manager for Hogland Energy. I have Hogland Group. I work mostly with Hogland Energy. I have 25 plus years with construction and labor management. The Hogland Group is a family-owned infrastructure service holding company with subsidiaries and facilities. We provide a wide range of energy and civil infrastructure services. Our affiliate companies include Gray Civil, Hogland Energy. We have Hogland VI, Midnight Trucking, Eastern Utilities, Hawkeye Energy, Greenport, and Inwood Material Terminals. We provide a wide range of construction services for clients in commercial and government. Please feel free to visit our website, www.hoglandllc.com, or reach out to me and I will get back to you.
Great information. Thank you, Susan. And I believe a lot of folks will be in contact with you, kind of learning more about your organization as well as some of the others. So last but not least, I want to turn it over to our last panelist who was graciously able to spend some time with us. Jay, would you like to introduce yourself, your role, and your company?
Thanks, Eric. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jay Popley. I serve as the Executive Vice President of Popley Design Group. I am a second generation. We are also family owned. And my father started the firm. We are about 160, 170 people. We are a full service architecture and engineering firm. We provide obviously architecture, we do building engineering, and we also do transportation engineering, bridge design, roadway design, construction management. And we do that primarily for public sector clients throughout New York. We have 7 offices spread across New York and New Jersey, and pleased to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, Jay, thank you all of our panelists for joining us today. We have a great session, but before we kind of kick it off, what I wanted to do is just kind of remind the folks who are here today participating in this session, feel free to ask any questions you may have throughout the session today. I have Walter Lowe. Walter, if you don't mind raising your hand. He is our supplier diversity specialist, and he's going to be helping monitor the chat. And so if there's any questions that may come up, we'll try to see if we can address them towards the end, but we certainly want to hear from you. So feel free, use the chat function down below. And, with that, let's begin. So first things first, what I wanted to do was maybe ask some pointed questions. So the first, as we're thinking about how to increase, the size of a pie and if we're ready, what are some key things to consider when exploring business expansion, like financial needs or needs of more employees? Those are some context. So at this time, I want to maybe pose this question to Maddie. Maddie, would you mind giving your perspective of what are some key things to consider?
Sure. Thanks, Eric. You said the right words, if you are ready. And, so the first thing to consider is if expansion or growth is right for you. There's this visceral fear of change, right, and growth. The first thing I say is do your due diligence, make sure you do your research, and do not rush to grow. Explore all your options, right? But that said, we work with a lot of small businesses, but many times when I ask business owners about growth and expansion, the first thing I hear them say is, I want to increase my revenue, right? But growth and expansion means achieving both financial as well as non-financial results for your business. But the first step is to develop a sound strategy, right? What's the direction of the company? Not sure, the makeup of this audience right now, but I'm certain you all heard, if not read or watched, the children's novel Alice in Wonderland. I call it the Alice analogy, right? When Alice asks the Cheshire Cat, which way should I go? And the cat says, that depends on where you're going. Alice says, I don't know. Then the cat says, then it doesn't matter which way you go. So really the first step is to have a clear and robust strategy. A strategy, the word gets thrown around a lot. At its core, a strategy is the big picture of your business and the industry and identifying all that you need to succeed in the environment, right? That's the direction. The second step is to then figure out if you have the right people on board, right, on your ship, and the right talent to grow your business and to make sure that the people are aligned with your vision. Very important that there's a corporate culture and everybody is attuned to that. Then you have to make sure that you have adequate financial reserves in place, infrastructure in place, and to assess if your investment in a growth strategy, be it a new opportunity, a new client, or sometimes even a new hire, right? Does it have ROI, return on investment, and by when, right? So if you want to scale up, the first thing is make sure you have a strong foundation and expand on it, right? Like think about it. Can you actually build a skyscraper on a foundation that's meant for a single family house? You cannot. So finally, try to be as innovative as you can and try to innovate. So at a very minimum, these are the things that you should want to consider when you want to expand your business.
Thank you, Maddie. Yeah, what I'm hearing is definitely some strong foundation, be innovative. Those are certainly some key takeaways there. No, great insight. I'll turn it over to some of the other panelists, Susan, Jay, Ingrid. Any other things we would like to add?
I'll jump in and reinforce at least one point that I think is absolutely critical that Maddie made is making sure your organization is really ready for growth and expansion. It's easy to say that you want to grow and expand, but like for instance, we've undergone some growth here in the past 4 or 5 years, but it's been really measured. Because as a services firm, we provide engineering and architecture services. People are our product, and we have to make sure that we had not only the right people, but if we're going to expand, we have to have more people, and they have to have a certain skill set and a certain amount of experience. And bringing some of those people on and getting them trained actually has to precede some of our expansion strategies and execution. So know your organization, know what your clients are looking for. We deal a lot with public sector clients. They're very demanding. They're very quality conscious. We had to make sure we had the right people to be able to deliver for that. So, a lot of that is internal looking. And I would encourage people to really make sure that they're ready to expand, and then at what pace. And because you can expand too quickly and find yourself in a little bit of trouble.
Great insight. You're absolutely right. It's certainly again, knowing your business. I mean, at the end of the day, are you ready? From that perspective, do you feel you're ready on your end? Absolutely. Susan, Ingrid, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to share.
I agree wholly with Jay and Maddie. The stars have to be aligned. In our business, market trends and focus is key. We have to see where the market's headed, and that has a lot to do with where we look to expand our workforce. We are a union company, so we use union labor. So the workforce is key. We have to have the workers when we're looking at expansion, and the right people in the right place, relationships, it all falls into play.
Agreed. Yeah, so with that, I mean, what I've heard a couple of times already is people. I mean, is really making sure you have the right people for to support the expansion, which is key. But with people, there's also training and education that may be required to support them and making sure they're ready to kind of support your growth. So what type of training and education should one consider before expanding a company? Is there anything that we wanted to share? Maybe I'll throw it to you, Ingrid or Maddie.
Sure, I'll go ahead. So one of the things that we're doing in our company is project management training. That's really important, that when we get the projects, we're ready to get going on them, that people understand the importance.
I couldn't agree more. Go ahead, Maddie.
No, absolutely, I agree. With training is really essential. I believe that we're constantly learning. You can never really stop learning. In fact, this morning, just being on this conference, I learned a few things with business continuity, right? So there's always something new and exciting that's relevant to your business, right? Take technology, for instance. It's constantly evolving. Today, we have smart buildings. We're using drones for doing surveys and aerial mapping. People are using 3D and 5D BIM instead of AutoCAD. So if you aren't learning and using that knowledge to grow, you risk being left behind, right? So this is important for your people as well as for business owners, especially small business owners. There are a plethora of online education programs, and many of them are free, right? Like there's free business training programs. In fact, we do here in New Jersey, we actually do a small business for minority and DBEs, a development program where we teach business management, business strategy, time management, leadership. So there's essential business skills that every business owner and every business leader must have, right? And then to add to that, you can probably go after a new certification, add to your own credentials, right? Or to your business. For instance, if you want to explore doing business with in the federal marketplace, maybe you are ready for getting on a GSA schedule or getting ADS certified. One other thing is to be in touch with your industry, expand your network, speak to people, attend conferences, and then internalize, right? Jay, to add on to what Jay said, internally tap into your collective intelligence and the wisdom of your people. There's a lot of information within your company. It already exists there. I would say, schedule some lunch and learns with your team and document your experiences, right? Get a mentor or an advisor. Mentors are great to bounce off ideas. We have a mentor for our own firm. And read, finally, that would be one thing. People don't read too much out there, but there's a ton of books and they offer a lot of insights. So education is never ending, folks.
And Eric, we're really excited about that mentor protege program that
Yep.
NIPA is putting together. So,
Well, and I appreciate the plug on that, because again, that's kind of one example of resources that are available. I mean, again, Maddie, you and Ingrid, you mentioned some free programs. There's programs out there. You just got to be able to be aware of them through networking, through conversations, through research, so on and so forth. I mean, there's definitely a plethora of programs and trainings that is available. And attending conferences like today, for example, which is available to our supplier diversity community, is an example. You can find out and self-educate yourself. So that certainly that's great opportunity and great advice, from our panelists. Anything else to share, Susan, Jay?
Just to build on what has been said, learning has to occur at all levels of your organization, or at some point you're going to reach a bottleneck. Ingrid brought up, project management. If I take a look at our organization, and I'll just use our bridge design group, we have new college graduates. What they're learning in terms of designing bridges is very different than what someone 5, 6, 7 years down the road may be learning. Someone who's newly licensed, they may be learning more of the project management skills. Someone 15 years experience is learning how to manage multiple design teams. And we have different learning and different classes, different both on the job and outside of the job training for them, because they all need to advance their skills, and it helps with their professional growth, and it helps, quite frankly, with retention. If they see a path forward, they'll feel less of a need to look outside the organization to reach their own professional goals. So I would say, as you're looking at training and education and development of your own staff, make sure you're looking at all through the organization.
And just to hit on that a little bit, Hogland has a very robust internship program, just like Jay was talking about, helping the college students acclimate into the business world. I think mentor and coaching training is key, and leadership training as well.
No, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of folks that have been in the business for many years. So what I heard here today is certainly try to engage a mentor or someone who's been in the business for many years to kind of work with. And again, I think just kind of going back to what Ingrid said, the Power Authority is launching its mentor protege program. So that's certainly going to be key for a lot of diverse suppliers out there who want to grow their business. We want to match up some firms who have been in the business for many years with some of the junior firms together to see if we can kind of help businesses grow to support. There's plenty of work within New York State. We just want to make sure we're creating sustainable businesses to help the organization. So talking about kind of again, sustainable businesses per se, one thing is kind of like a forward-looking, work. And so when you look into the future in terms of, what type of work exists, well, I think about business development. So from your perspectives as a group here, what percentage of time does your organization spend on business development? And maybe I'll pass this over to Jay first.
Thanks, Eric. There's really two ways to look at business development, at least from my perspective. We tend to work, our clients tend to be clients that have hundreds of projects each year. So it's not a project, you know, it's not as if they have a project that comes out once every 3 or 4 years. So a great deal of our business development is actually the last 1 or 2 projects we've done. So in that sense, I would say almost all of my time, whether it be internal operations and making sure that we're delivering quality, or actually going out and visiting new clients, is spent on business development. Because for a company our size, and you know, Eric, I'll use NYPA as an example, we're pretty small compared to what NYPA's overall program is. We could grow quite healthily just within NYPA. But in order to grow within NYPA, we have to do really good work on our last job and the job before that, so that when we propose on the next one, NYPA is going to look at it and say, you know what, they did well on a small job, maybe they're ready for a medium-sized job. So I think it all depends on your client base. And, you know, as we're looking at it, a lot of what I spend on my time on is making sure, like I said, we deliver quality so we can earn our next job. But beyond that, then we also take a look at new clients, both within New York and then geographical expansion. But sticking to when we go to new clients, once again, those clients tend to have multiple hundreds of projects a year. We want to be able to perform. So we recognize that we want to stick with where our core expertise is. Also recognize that a new client is going to probably give you a very small project that, and you got to be willing to accept that and be willing to prove yourself to someone who may not know you. So I don't know that I gave a percentage, but it's a very high number. If you really take a look at what business development entails, it's not just calling on new customers. It's also making sure you do right by your existing customers and clients.
I couldn't agree with you more. Certainly, you know, you're only as good as your last job, and then making sure you keep that reputation, you know, going. And so with that, Ingrid, as marketing manager, what any insight you want to share?
Well, I can say that when you're doing, a lot of the companies on this call may be smaller companies, and the person that's doing the job is also trying to get the jobs. So it can be difficult to estimate a percentage of that time, because you could be doing 100% business development, get the job, and then you're doing 100% doing the work. So it's trying to get that balance of making sure you're getting your next job while still getting the work done on the job that you just got.
Agreed. It's definitely time management as it relates to, but certainly kind of making sure you do well on the work that you're currently performing. Don't put that aside because you got the job. It's just certainly want to perform really well and good job there, so that way you can set yourselves up for the next opportunity. Absolutely. Susan, any other things you wanted to share?
I believe that business development, at least with me, it's 24 hours. It doesn't matter if I'm at work. I'm a volunteer EMT for 19 years. If I'm on disaster response, you know, Haugland does a lot of storm response. At a wedding, I'm always overhearing conversations, meeting people. I wish I could say I put it to bed, but I don't think I ever did.
24/7. I think I certainly can relate on that end. I know I can, because it seems like you know, even with what's happening now with you know, obviously the pandemic has had an impact on all our businesses. It seems like it's really hard to kind of shut it off. You're always kind of like on the go, always thinking kind of ahead, you know, and you can't kind of hang it out, even you're bringing it home. So with that, you know, I mentioned the pandemic. So just be curious from all your perspectives as it talks about kind of business growth. I know that the pandemic has had some impact, obviously, on everyone and businesses. So be curious to kind of provide some insight on what impact has the pandemic had on your ability to expand growth or expand your business, you know, as an organization. So with that, Maddie, would you mind kind of sharing?
Oh, sure. I mean, luckily and touch wood, we didn't have a tremendous impact because a lot of work that we did continued on, and these are multi-year term contracts. That said, one of our core services is like, outreach, engagement, and marketing. That was definitely impacted, right? Especially on large infrastructure projects, because although we did pivot to online, it's still not the same. You're not there in those underserved communities. You're not touching and feeling, and and hence, quite honestly, even with NIPA, we have a contract. It was to do events and to get people in the door and actually communicate, and that was stalled. So anything to do with public engagement, we're definitely affected. And personally, I mean, I'm a people person. I have to be out there. I am so sick of being stuck in this little box and going from one Zoom to the other. I need to get out there, and the other challenge, and I'm sure everyone is facing this, all small business as well as large companies, is finding talent, finding the top talent. That has been, especially with this great resignation thing happening, it has been very challenging to do that. So, in terms of that, that those were probably the two impacts that I can think of.
Great, thank you, Maddie. Susan, anything else to share?
I'm definitely going to jump right on that one, Maddie. I'm a face-to-face social person. I missed the nonverbal part of communications, the body language, the face, the before and after meetings that happen. I miss all of that, but us being the leaders that we are, we found a way to model our business, and it's working out. I'm getting used to this. It seems like they've become a little more informal, which I like. I don't like the real formal settings. I enjoy this immensely. As far as Haugland Group goes, I know the pandemic has affected the expansion of a lot of companies, as far as infrastructure with airports, a lot of projects were put off. Hospitality, the lack of labor force, and but as far as renewable energy and electric construction, it's been booming since the pandemic, and we've been following that closely. There's been surges in that, surges since the pandemic in 2020. At the onset of the pandemic, they needed makeshift hospitals, and Haugland was right there as always, jumping in to help the community. We've kept our relationships strong with a lot of the offshore wind vendors and a lot of the organizations involved in the grant funding and investment end. We recently, received a contract with Eversource and Orsted on South Fork. We purchased Tompkins Cove, which was a laydown yarn for the Tappan Zee Bridge, to try to make that a major component in the offshore wind industry. So fortunately for us, we have boomed, but I do know a lot of the businesses have been hurting, and labor force is a huge issue. We've been lucky that way as well, but we're adjusting. You have to adjust. I keep a very positive attitude on the pandemic. I have, even with my volunteer EMT service, a lot of policies, a lot of regulations and mandates came out. But being the leaders that we all are, we adjust and we make it work. And I think you have to keep that positive attitude, put the right people in the right place, do events like this and see faces like this and hear opportunity that everybody else is having, and you'll flourish.
Absolutely. Well, Susan, thank you. Thank you. Definitely a lot of things for the folks on this call to kind of think about. They probably have the same challenges that they've been seeing, and so they can certainly say we're not alone. And so it's actually really nice to kind of hear that, and thank you for sharing. I think we're at the top of the hour in terms of our session, but I do want to say a couple of things. One, thank you to our panelists, Susan, Jay, Maddie, Ingrid. Thank you so much for taking time to share your knowledge, your experience as an organization. I'm glad that you're healthy and safe. We appreciate your time. I want to thank all the folks who joined us today to listen in. If you want to hear more about or want to connect with some of our panelists, we will be sharing contact information. So if they have any questions, they can always ask you directly. So we'll be able to share that. And again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, our panelists, once again.
Thank you.
And hope everybody has a great rest of the
Eric.
day. Enjoy the next session. Oh, Walter, go ahead.
Yeah, we have one question from John Vega. It's what is the process or systems used for obtaining new RFPs or workplace solutions requirements for firms already registered as MWSB SDE, and specifically within professional services?
I can take that, Eric, if you want.
Yeah, by all means.
Oh, sure. So John, basically, most of the information, actually all the information, if you especially you're working with public agencies, it's all on their websites. You will not only see the upcoming opportunities and the immediate opportunities, but also they publish forecasts of what's coming down the capital programs. So there's RFPs out there for you to look at, and as well as to, try to attempt to either submit as a prime. You can also see who the other potential bidders are, right? So you can contact with them and try to team up with them. And if you're in New York, you must know of New York State Contractor Reporter. That's a tremendous source of information. It gives you all the information that you will need about upcoming opportunities. It's free of cost to you, and you can sign up for alerts. And I trust you me, if you sign up for alerts, you get this ding at 3 a.m. every morning. And you will be waking up to see, hey, there's a new opportunity for me, right? So that's definitely one thing.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you,
John, I
Maddie.
would reiterate the contract reporters are go-to.
There is
Yes.
also procurement technical assistance centers run by Department of Defense. They're located throughout the state, and they can also help you with RFPs and doing bids, all kinds of services. So if you look up PTAC or Procurement Technical Assistance Centers.
Great. No, thank you for sharing. And I think what we can do is certainly provide information in the chat that would be available for upcoming RFP opportunities. So again, thank you once again to our panelists. I'm not sure if there's any more questions, Walter, anything else?
No, nothing in the chat.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. And we'll see you at the next session. Take
Thank
care.
you for having us. Thanks.
Thank
Stay
you.
warm.
Yeah.